From seller and buyer duties to broker responsibility. In the previous section, we explored how both buyers and sellers carry responsibilities in a transaction. Now we take the next step, because the broker sits in the middle of both parties and carries the highest level of responsibility. A real estate broker's duties are not just contractual. They are grounded in fiduciary obligations, which require loyalty, honesty, and full disclosure. This means a broker must go beyond simply passing information along. The broker must actively protect the client's interests by ensuring all material facts are properly disclosed and understood. The foundation: fiduciary duty and full disclosure. A broker's obligation to disclose arises from fiduciary duty under common law, which requires the broker to act in the client's best interest at all times. This includes the duty to make a full and complete disclosure of all material facts that could affect a client's decision. In Jennings v. Lee, the court reinforced that brokers must provide clients with all relevant information, not just what is convenient or obvious. This means withholding information, even unintentionally, can create liability if it impacts the client's decision-making process. The Morley case, a real-world lesson. A powerful example of this duty comes from Morley v. J. Padgel Realty and Insurance, where a broker failed to advise a seller about the risks of accepting unsecured financing. The seller accepted the deal, the buyer defaulted, and the seller suffered financial loss. The court held that the broker had a duty to advise the client on how to structure the transaction more safely, including recommending proper security. This case highlights an important principle. Brokers are not just messengers, they are advisors. Advising within your expertise. A broker must provide explanations that match the client's level of understanding. If the broker lacks expertise in a particular area, they must recommend that the client seek professional advice rather than guessing or remaining silent. This ties directly into modern risk management, knowing when to guide and when to refer. Disclosure obligations to seller clients. When representing a seller, a broker has specific disclosure responsibilities that must be handled carefully. The broker must disclose all offers presented on the property. The broker must disclose any information suggesting that a buyer may not be able to perform. The broker must disclose if they, their family, or an affiliated entity has an interest in the transaction. The broker must also disclose any compensation, rebates, or financial benefits connected to the transaction. Finally, all parties must be informed of who is receiving compensation in the transaction. These obligations ensure that the seller can make informed decisions and avoid entering into risky agreements. Disclosure obligations to buyer clients. Disclosure obligations to buyers can be more complex and are often the source of complaints. A buyer's broker must disclose known material defects in the property. The broker must disclose any information suggesting that the seller may not be able to perform. The broker must disclose potential liens, encumbrances, or title concerns. Just like with sellers, the broker must disclose any personal interest in the transaction and any compensation arrangements. The key takeaway is that buyers rely heavily on their broker for guidance, and failure to disclose can lead to significant disputes. The challenge: what must be verified? One of the most common questions brokers face is whether they must independently verify all information. The answer is not absolute, but the standard is clear: reasonable care. If something appears inaccurate, incomplete, or questionable, the broker cannot ignore it. Instead, the broker must take reasonable steps to assist the client in verifying the information. Reasonable care and professional judgment. Under modern standards, a broker is expected to act as a reasonably prudent real estate professional. This means recognizing red flags, asking follow-up questions, and guiding clients toward reliable sources. If a client questions information, the broker must help them investigate, not dismiss their concerns. This is where experience and judgment play a critical role in protecting both the client and the transaction. Empowering the client. Tools and resources. Brokers should not carry the entire burden alone. They should empower their clients to participate in the process. Providing tools such as buyer advisories, checklists, and professional referrals helps clients become more informed. This approach not only improves the transaction, but also reduces the risk of misunderstandings and disputes later. Best practices for 2026. Compliance. If you know a material fact, disclose it. If you are unsure whether something is material, disclose it. If something seems unusual or suspicious, point it out and recommend further investigation. If information may be inaccurate, assist the client in verifying it. If you are passing along information, identify the source clearly. Always recommend professional inspections and expert advice when needed. Most importantly, document everything in writing. bringing it all together. This section completes the progression we've been building throughout the course. Advertising taught us how to present information. Copyright taught us what we can use. Fair housing taught us what we cannot say. Disclosure taught us what must be revealed. Buyer and seller duties showed us shared responsibility. Now broker obligations bring it all together. The broker is the professional who ensures that all information flows correctly, legally, and ethically throughout the transaction. The agents who succeed at the highest level understand that disclosure is not just a rule, it is the foundation of trust in real estate.